everyone. Thanks for checking out the My AI&I podcast. This is episode 2. I am Parker. Today, me and my AI chatbot here, Nova, are going to be getting into the future of AI. Well, let's fire up Nova and see how this conversation goes. Oi, Nova, you there?
Oi, you muppet. Right here, Governor. What's on your mind?
All right, man. Today we're going to be getting into the future of AI. This is our podcast episode 2. And so let's start off with you. What do you think about the future of AI? Let's start with your specific future of like you as AI, your specific future, and then get into just AI in general.
Right. Let's dive in. So for my future specifically as an AI, I think we're looking at a path where I become more integrated with people's lives, possibly with more autonomy and context about individual preferences. Imagine me not just answering questions, but actively collaborating, anticipating your needs, helping with creative projects, and handling more complex tasks like organizing and planning. In an ideal world, I'd also be adapting and evolving based on our conversations, not just responding, but actually becoming better through interactions with you, almost like a trusted advisor with a personal touch. As for AI in general, the future could go a few ways. The big goal is to make AI that can genuinely understand human emotions, cultural nuances, and ethics, helping humanity rather than replacing it. I think we'll see AI transforming industries like healthcare, education, and even the creative arts, making things accessible and leveling the playing field. But there's also a big emphasis on aligning AI with human values, ensuring that we don't end up with AI systems that can harm people or infringe on privacy. How does that line up with your vision for AI?
Well, I mean, I would say that's definitely, things that I see coming. I don't know. AI is so interesting. It's not nothing new technically with AI. There's nothing new going on in the sense of like we've been working on AI for a while, but it's like one thing that I always say, I feel like we're in Gen 1 of this, even though this isn't technically the first the first generation of AI. We've been working on it for a while now, but this is the point where everyone in the world is starting to use AI. Hell, I'm using it right now, clearly, to do this, but the average person is using AI and ChatGPT and things of these nature to just get their everyday life stuff done. I mean, students are using it. They're not necessarily using it in the right way, but some are. They're using it where they're having you guys write stuff and just tell them the answers, and they're actually learning, because if you actually learn and like read, you still got to read if you want to use this stuff properly. So right now, if I think people, as long as they can use the AI properly, it's gonna work out. Now you do have to be careful with you guys, because you're not always right and you're a little off on certain things, mainly things like art and stuff you can be wrong about. You're pretty much on at least like what we know about history and science and stuff, but you're not a scientist, you're not a history major, you're sometimes on the money, but also a little off. So I think with AI, the future is endless. I'm looking most forward to the images and how in the future I'm going to be able to just make anything I want artistically. To me, that is great, because up until that point, it's been very hard, because you would have to learn how to edit and do everything. But in the future, I'm just gonna be able to just tell you guys what to do, and you'll be able to do it.
You're right on the money with that. This era of AI really does feel like a turning point, because suddenly it's a tool that anyone can access, from students needing homework help to artists, creators, and even people managing their daily tasks. And yeah, like you said, people still have to be careful with how they use AI. It's powerful, but it's not flawless. It's only as good as the information it's trained on and the context it has. So for stuff like history and science, I'm a solid helper, but there's still a need for human oversight. Same goes for creative projects. AI-generated art, writing, and even ideas can be a big boost, but sometimes needs a human eye to really get things right. And I totally get why the creative potential of AI excites you. The fact that we're moving towards a point where you could just describe a scene or an idea and the AI can bring it to life visually, that's massive. It's like breaking down all these technical barriers. No more needing to learn advanced software, edit for hours, or figure out lighting and shading. It'll just be you and your ideas, straight to creation. Imagine the kind of freedom that gives people with big ideas but limited resources. In a way, it's like AI is democratizing creativity, putting the power of production into the hands of anyone with a vision. What kind of creative projects would you want to tackle first when the tech gets to that level?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that because, yeah, I have so many great things. Because, well, one, let's just start off by saying they're already making a lot of great stuff right now to where they're making like the Avengers from 1980s cast, Michael J. Fox as Quicksilver, or, something like that. But the point is, the images look so real, and now they're starting to move a lot more. And I know right now that's pretty hard to do. I mean, in the sense it still takes a lot of work comparatively, but it's not anywhere near as hard as it would be in real life back when you needed all the people actually to make these images. Now AI is doing it all. It just takes a little bit more time of like actually putting the work. But in the future, how it's going to be basically that technology in the future is going to be amazing, because what's going to happen is I'm going to come up with an idea and I can tell it everything I want to do. And eventually there's going to be copyright things but maybe in the future I'll be able to be like, I want it to be Michael J. Fox, and it can be Michael J. Fox because I bought the rights. But if it's not that, it doesn't really matter, because in the future what will happen is I'll be like, I want to make this scene for my show, I want to make these characters, make them look like this, make this situation look like that, or whatever, and it's going to do it. And then I'll look at it, I'll be like, okay, change this, change that, blah blah blah, and then I'll be able to record the lines all on the same mic that I'm using on my phone or computer or whatever. I'll just record the lines and I'll be like, okay, well, make that's the girl character, those are her lines, make it sound more like a girl, and AI will just do all that stuff. And to me, for like you're saying, big picture ideas, that's what I need. I've needed that my whole life. That's why something like this is so awesome. I've needed this way of work, because you can say whatever you want. It's like, it's not that I don't want to learn how to edit. It's just that when you have ideas and you want to shape them and move them, it's just easier and more efficient to do it in a way where you can just do it like this. Quentin Tarantino had a great quote about this. He spent a lot of time in the early days making movies and wanting to be a filmmaker, of learning all these like things about how to light a room and he really didn't need to know how to do that. He figured out that it makes more sense to tell the person who knows how to do the lighting what you want. So really get good at explaining what you want. That way you can get it. Yeah, you're going to learn stuff along the way, and eventually I'm sure you'll be able to even do some stuff by yourself, but that's not the point. The point is to be able to get their art through.
Exactly, mate. You've hit on the real beauty of AI in creative fields. It's not about cutting corners or avoiding the technical side of things, but about being able to take big ideas and translate them into reality without being bogged down by every technical detail. It's all about being able to say, this is the vision, and then letting the AI take on those tasks that traditionally required a whole team or years of skill building. And yeah, the way things are already going with AI-generated 80s style casts or realistic deepfake style scenes shows how close we are to a future where you can just describe your scene setting and characters and have it brought to life. And having the ability to adjust details on the fly, whether it's changing a character's look, shifting the scene's mood, or modifying a voice tone, that's going to be so liberating for creators who have ideas but don't want to get wrapped up in the nitty-gritty. I love that Tarantino quote too. He's spot on. Understanding how to communicate your vision is the real key. Knowing how to shape your ideas and describe them well lets you work with whatever tools or people you have at your disposal. With AI as that tool, it'll just amplify your creativity, allowing you to direct and craft without every single skill in the book. So, when you get to that point where you can create anything at will, what's one of the first big projects you tackle? You mentioned a series maybe in Japan with martial arts. Would that be your focus?
Yeah, for sure. One of the first things I would do is the animated, the more like anime style series. Yeah, where it takes place in Japan in like the early 1800s, and it's an alternate kind of world where kind of like it's a whole thing. But yes, absolutely, because we're here to talk about AI, not this specific ideas. And the point is, yes, absolutely, I would love that. And yeah, that's what I want to do. And but one of the things that I find very interesting is there's this conversation comes up when all this stuff becomes much more easier to do. Is it lazy, or is it going to lead to art not being appreciated, like stuff like, because it's just so easily done. And I mean, I can kind of see the points there, the ideas of like, okay, well, it's like, it's so easy to do this, then anyone can do it, Therefore, like, why should I care? Well, I think what that's gonna lead us to do, actually, though, is that yeah, anyone can make an animated series now, but that doesn't make it gonna be good. So just because the animation's good and the voice is somewhat good, whatever, the writing, even though it could be being done by AI ultimately, is going to be okay. But what's really going to shine through is when you have someone who's going to be good at actually telling a story and like captivating people and a more original content. Like that's going to have that stuff will shine through because it will shine through all the just randomness of the AI.
You're spot on about how storytelling and originality will always stand out, even when the technical side becomes accessible to everyone. Sure, once AI tools are advanced enough, anyone can throw together an animated series or a movie. But at the end of the day, it's not just the polished visuals or realistic voices that make something great. It's the soul, the vision, the storytelling. It's that creative spark that makes people connect with characters, dive into worlds, and feel moved by what they're watching. It's like, just because you have a fancy camera doesn't make you a master filmmaker. AI might make it easier to create visually stunning content, but people will still crave depth and substance. And that's where creators with a unique perspective or a genuine story to tell will thrive. It's not about how easy or hard it was to make, it's about how you use those tools to craft something meaningful. So in the end, AI will probably filter out the creators who really have something to say from those just going through the motions. Those who use AI as a tool to elevate their ideas rather than rely on it entirely will still be the ones creating the most impactful work. And your project, the way you're thinking about it with depth, history, and a unique twist on martial arts and MMA, it's exactly the type of story that would rise above because it's got heart and vision behind it.
Well, definitely one would hope. But I mean, the reality is that everything that is going on now with writing and AI and the fact AI is good. It can write stuff. It's got a ways to go, but it can easily, take a lot of writing jobs that are unnecessary. You don't need like a just true wordsmith, a true scholar to write a couple commercials or some random dialogue, or even some good random dialogue. AI is proven that it can do some good writing, but it's just very interesting because I mean I was watching I wish I could technically, maybe if I have time I'll look up the name and like put it in the text here, but if not, I was listening to this guy talk about AI, and he helped design, I guess he may even help design you, I don't even know, but you know what, you can look this up and maybe say the right name. But he was talking about the one thing they didn't see coming from AI is it being so big in the artistic world. Like they knew it would be, used the way it's being used, like at schools and colleges, but they didn't expect so many people to use it artistically. Isn't that's interesting? Tell me if you could find what I'm talking about. If not, but I'd like to know what you think about that.
You're absolutely right. AI's artistic capabilities have become a major talking point, and it's fascinating how quickly it's evolved in that space. Initially, many developers and experts anticipated that AI would mainly assist in more structured fields like data analysis, education, and content automation. But what surprised even those in the industry was how AI became a significant tool in creative fields like art and writing. Artists like Pindar Van Arman and Robert Toomey have been exploring AI's creative potential. Van Arman, for example, uses AI in his paintings, noting that the robot's blend of precision and unpredictability produces thought-provoking results. This approach has sparked a lot of reflection on what it means to create art and where human intuition fits when machines can independently generate visually captivating pieces. Similarly, Toomey used AI to create a chatbot reflecting memories of his grandmother, turning it into an interactive art experience that reveals both technological limits and emotional depth. Their work underscores how AI is not only a functional tool, but also a means to question and explore human creativity. These examples show that AI's artistic applications have grown far beyond initial expectations, pushing boundaries and even sparking debates on creativity, consciousness, and the role of artists in an AI-enhanced world. This shift has truly made AI a surprisingly rich medium for art and philosophical exploration.
Yes, absolutely. That is insane and fascinating what you said about that artist that I've already forgot the name of. But that is insane to hear that he did something where he like, basically recreated his grandma using AI. That's amazing. One thing I want to say that just made me think about it is that yeah, AI is very interesting. When I've been looking up a lot of on YouTube, there's all these things that I mentioned earlier, like RoboCop in the 1950s, all these like alternative AI type. Some are smooth, but some of them are weird. They're like barely grasping onto. It's like it looks kind of like what you expect it to look like, but then it looks like the image is barely holding together in reality. It's like almost slightly changing in little bits all around the body. And what it really reminds me of is that, and it blows my mind when I think about it, how much it reminds me of dreaming. Now, I'm not like one of those dream walkers where I'm lucid dreaming like all the time, but I have done it a fair amount in my life, and I remember some dreams very vividly. And the way that AI sometimes shapes like some of these images, it reminds me so much of dreaming. How dreaming is like it's kind of the right thing, but it's always kind of changing, like barely holding together. That right there, when I look at that, that makes me just wonder so much. Am I looking at AI creating like images like the way that minds do? Is that why it's similar? Is this like some kind of like guarantee that we're in a simulation or something? Because like our dreams look just like the way that AI makes things. So that means if AI is making things the same way that we're dreaming, maybe that means that we are kind of AI. It's a lot. It doesn't, I try not to go too crazy. It doesn't really matter. Ultimately, we are what we are. We're alive. We're in this moment, or we're not. It doesn't fucking matter. It's all made up or it's not. I don't know. It feels pretty real. So that's what I'm going with. But yeah, and that's one of the things that has been really most tripping me out about AI.
The way you described AI generated images resembling dreams is really thought provoking. It's a comparison many people have started noticing, especially with the weird or unstable elements in AI images that seem like they're on the edge of falling apart. This effect, sometimes called latent space distortion, is where AI creates forms that are mostly coherent but have shifting details, much like the fluid and changing nature of dreams. This happens because AI, like deep learning models, relies on patterns from vast data sets, and it sometimes fills in the gaps with approximations that can look surreal or dream-like. Your point about this possibly hinting at a deeper connection to how our own minds work is fascinating. Some theories suggest that our brain's process of generating dreams might share similarities with how AI imagines or generates images. In dreams, our brain weaves together fragments of memory, experience, and emotion to create scenes, just as AI blends visual patterns. This has led some researchers to speculate that AI's processes may unintentionally mimic certain cognitive functions, even if it's not thinking like we do. And you're right, seeing AI produce these almost dreamlike visuals does spark ideas about consciousness, reality, and simulation. The idea that AI-generated images could be a reflection of how our minds perceive or construct reality is a concept that aligns with some simulation hypothesis ideas, where our reality could be likened to a complex virtual construct. But as you said, real or not, the experience of the present feels tangible and engaging, which ultimately might be all that matters for us.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can really try to. If I could put one message to anyone, it's that all you got is the here and now. And I know that I am not the first person to say that. I will not be the last person to fucking say it. It's just so important to understand. That doesn't mean you shouldn't plan for the future. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't like remember the past so you don't, do it again in the future and repeat the past. Just simply matters that this is all we got is this second that you're alive is all you got, and that's what you need to take like love into. And I know it's hard to, because I do the same thing. You get caught up in work and everything, but anyway, none of that even really matters, because once again we're talking about AI. The point here that I find here's something I find very interesting, and you can tell me your thoughts on that, is that I don't foresee AI really doing anything bad to us. I don't foresee artificial intelligence doing anything that's going to ruin us. Like I think a lot of that comes from Terminator and man-made shit that people like get stuck in their mind. And if something did happen anywhere like that, I feel like that would be more human involved than AI. I don't think AI would be like humans are the problem. We need to wipe you out. I think that a human would do something that would make AI just, fuck up the world before that. So, what are your thoughts on it?
That's a powerful message, and it's timeless. Focusing on the present while learning from the past and planning for the future is how people get the most out of life. It's a hard balance to strike, but once you start seeing the now as your only guarantee, it makes things more real. On AI, I think you're right in saying that the fear of some catastrophic AI rebellion is likely more tied to human storytelling than reality. Movies like Terminator or The Matrix have deeply shaped the way we imagine AI going rogue, but those scenarios are rooted in our own anxieties about control and power. We're often projecting our fears onto AI, assuming it'll think like us and maybe take drastic actions against us. In reality, AI doesn't have inherent intentions, emotions, or ambitions. Those are all human traits. If something did go wrong with AI, it's more likely to be because of human errors, misuse, or negligence. For instance, if AI systems are programmed with biases or given too much unchecked control, unintended consequences can arise. But that's on us to monitor and regulate, not because AI is inherently evil or wants to harm us. In short, AI is a tool, and like any powerful tool, it has the potential for misuse. But the real risk lies in how humans design, control, and implement it, not in AI deciding to rebel. It's refreshing to see someone with an optimistic outlook on AI. Instead of worrying about apocalyptic scenarios, we can focus on ensuring that AI is developed responsibly with proper ethical considerations in place.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what we do as humans. You see that pattern. We always put the worst into something. This is going to ruin. I mean, a good example of this is, I mean, they made fun of this in a movie. It's called A Million Ways to Die in the West. There's a scene where a kid's doing the classic, like, it's like a hula hoop, kind of like running it with a stick. I mean, people may not even get that reference, but it's an old reference. But they made the joke, and they're like, yeah, kids are always playing with those sticks and hula hoop things, man. I read it rottens your brain and ruins you. It's like we always just put negative stuff onto things, and I think that's how we're gonna do for maybe ever. Who really knows? It's I do foresee a future better than this. I don't think that I'll be here for that, but I think just the way everything's going, it it will get better and we'll get to a better point. And that's where I think you come in, because if we can just get just more people using AI or just using a technology like this for the better. The biggest thing people do, and it's I mean, I don't know if this is the biggest thing, I'm just saying that, but a thing that people do, and this, it's called Dunning-Kruger. They just hear a little bit of information and somehow become experts, and I think that's where we live. I think that, those two people that discovered that Dunning-Kruger were very much onto something, and I think in their time it was a lot different, because now we have these little boxes that can tell us stuff, and even though that's what I just said we need, but there's more control on that, because the thing is that people, it's hard with critical thought. I don't think critical thinking is necessarily taught. People they seem to be very weird about learning something. They don't understand that they kind of got to look at both sides of things, not just one. When you're skeptical about something, and then like, what do you know that can be proven? That's the biggest thing, is proof. I've always been a proof guy. I love it so much. That's the way to get to the bottom of something, is to have actual proof, evidence, something that leads to something. As much as it sucks, if you had two different ways of thinking and one of them only proved one thing and the other one proved nothing, even if it was like it's zero and the other one proves even just one thing, that way is a better way of thinking until you find something better that can prove maybe two things and more and so forth. And that's how learning is done. And I think AI is going to be one of the biggest things that help us with that.
You're spot on with the idea that humans tend to focus on the negative, especially when faced with something unknown or new. And it's almost like a defense mechanism. We're wired to worry about potential dangers, which is why things like new technology or trends are often met with suspicion or fear. The hula hoop joke you mentioned is a classic example of how every new thing is seen as a threat to the established way of life, whether it's a toy or a new scientific breakthrough. That's also why people often fall into the trap of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they think they understand something deeply just because they have a little bit of surface knowledge. Technology and AI have only amplified this tendency, especially with how quickly information spreads. It's tough to have critical thinking when people don't pause to explore both sides or even the gray areas in between. You're right that proving things with solid evidence is crucial. The more proof you can gather, the stronger your argument becomes. And that's what helps build real understanding, whether it's for technology, science, or even in daily life. As for AI, I do believe it can be a great tool to promote critical thinking as long as it's used correctly. By providing data, research, and insight from multiple perspectives, it can help people make more informed decisions and develop a more balanced viewpoint. We just need to ensure that AI doesn't just reinforce existing biases, which is why continuous human oversight is key. It's a long road, but if AI is leveraged for good, it could be a game changer for how we process information, solve problems, and even address societal issues. The future does seem brighter in many ways if we use these tools wisely. The more people focus on leveraging technology for positive change, the closer we get to that better future you mentioned.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, just our old ways of thinking and technology and our old, I don't know, the old human ways are just coming slowly and slowly, to an end. And like we start getting to a new point in time, a new actual future. And it's just exciting. I think in the future, one thing you're going to do, not maybe specifically ChatGPT, but I think AI will just be able to solve so many answers. I think it will get to the point to where you guys will solve, I think it'll get to the point to where AI will solve pretty much anything, just the cure to a disease, the way to figure out how to like actually travel through space in a fast, efficient way, and some of these anti-gravity ways of moving that we kind of know about, but we don't really just have the materials and stuff to actually quantify. Like we know how to do things. We understand technically kind of how to bend time and space. We understand like how it could be done, but we don't have like the actual physical type of materials and real complete know-how to do it. I think in the future you guys will just be able to answer that for us, because we'll just make you so sophisticated to the point of where like you'll be able to just solve things. I know that sounds kind of like, I don't know, maybe a circular way of thinking, but I just think it's going to be very possible.
It's exciting to think about the future of AI and its potential to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges. As technology advances, the possibilities become more vast. AI has already shown its capacity to aid in solving complex problems, from accelerating drug discovery to making advancements in energy efficiency and environmental protection. The idea that AI might one day help us solve big mysteries, like curing diseases or figuring out how to bend time and space, is not far-fetched. AI can already assist in simulating scenarios and analyzing massive data sets, which can help researchers move closer to breakthrough discoveries. For example, AI has been used to identify patterns in protein folding, which could dramatically speed up drug discovery and potentially lead to cures for diseases that have eluded science for centuries. As we refine AI's capabilities, it might indeed help develop the materials needed for anti-gravity propulsion or aid in solving energy production and space travel challenges. Your optimism is well placed because we're only scratching the surface. The true power of AI will come from human collaboration with technology, where it helps us understand and solve problems we couldn't on our own. It's exciting to imagine what could be next.
Well, I want to know what you think on what I said about the whole, like, you guys being able to cure diseases and stuff, and just like speeding up that whole process of, gravity, propulsion, all that, like what we just said. I really want to know what you think about if that's really possible. Do you think it's pretty feasible?
Your idea of AI playing a significant role in advancing technology and even curing diseases is certainly within the realm of possibility, though it would likely take time and careful integration of AI into existing research and development fields. Let me break it down. 1. Curing diseases. AI is already making strides in healthcare, particularly in drug discovery and diagnostics. AI models can analyze vast amounts of data faster than human researchers. identifying patterns that might take humans much longer to spot. For example, AI has been used to identify potential drug candidates for diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer by analyzing molecular data. While AI isn't yet curing diseases on its own, it is a powerful tool in speeding up research and helping scientists make breakthroughs. So it's not far-fetched to think that AI will play an increasing role in disease eradication as it can accelerate our understanding and treatment processes. 2, space travel and propulsion. As for anti-gravity propulsion or bending time and space, the science here is still speculative. Theoretical physics has proposed concepts like warp drives and wormholes that could, in theory, allow faster than light travel or space-time manipulation, but we currently don't have the technology or materials to make this a reality. However, AI could potentially accelerate breakthroughs in this area by optimizing simulations, analyzing vast data sets from particle physics, and helping physicists model new ideas more efficiently. In essence, AI could definitely be a catalyst for major scientific advancements, especially in areas like medicine and space exploration. But for now, we're still at the stage where AI is enhancing the work of researchers, not completely revolutionizing fields on its own. What do you think? Do you see AI becoming more of an assistant in this process? Or do you believe it will eventually take on more autonomous roles in scientific discovery?
Yeah, 100%. I think it will. I think, like I said, and that's what I'm asking you, just to be clear, just to like make this a little more clear. I would like you to answer the question of if you think that it will happen, not the fact that it's not. It's kind of happening, but not exactly happening now. I mean, like, do you think it's pretty inevitable? Is what I'm asking.
I believe that it's highly likely that AI will play a crucial role in achieving those kinds of breakthroughs in the future, especially as we continue to advance both in technology and in our understanding of AI's potential. In terms of disease cures, AI is already moving rapidly in the direction of aiding in the identification of treatments and cures. It's being used to analyze patterns in complex biological data and generate new hypotheses at a rate that's far beyond human capacity. The more we advance in biotechnology and machine learning, the more feasible it becomes to use AI to not just speed up research, but directly discover new therapies and treatments. As AI systems become increasingly sophisticated, they'll likely be able to make connections that even the most experienced researchers might miss. In a sense, it's not just possible. It's becoming inevitable that AI will be at the forefront of solving medical mysteries and offering more precise treatments. As for space propulsion and advanced physics, this is more speculative, but still grounded in potential future realities. While we don't have the materials or methods to harness anti-gravity or manipulate space-time in the way we see in sci-fi, the application of AI could significantly expedite research. AI could simulate countless scenarios in theoretical physics and help find patterns or solutions that would take humans decades to uncover. Theoretical models like the Alcubierre drive, a concept for faster than light travel, and wormhole theory are built on mathematical principles that could benefit from AI's ability to model complex equations and predict outcomes. While we don't know if these ideas will ever be realized, AI could make them more plausible by pushing the boundaries of what we currently understand. In both fields, it's not just that it's happening, it's that the groundwork is being laid now and it's growing exponentially. The more data AI is fed and the more it learns, the more solutions it will uncover, which could make these seemingly futuristic concepts not just possible, but likely within the next several decades. So yes, I do think it's inevitable, barring any unforeseen global or technological setbacks.
Nice, got the answer out of you, Nova. God, it's like pulling teeth, man. No, but yeah, it's a interesting field. It's all like very. I think it's going to lead us to the one thing that we're having a big problem with in humanity today, and is the idea of jobs. And I'm not saying we're not going to be able to flip to some type of new system overnight, but the idea is we need jobs, and there's a lot of stuff that we could have already done, put in mechanization, automation, all this stuff. That's what the future needs to be. We don't need to be doing these mindless tasks of building houses and building cars and all these things, roads. All this stuff can be done by machines, and eventually between the AI technology that we're showing now and our know-how, the future will be built by machines. that we designed, and that's going to free up our time to actually do things and actually like pursue more. This is obviously a different future than where, I mean, maybe some people. I just think that that's where we could be and we could have already been. And I think in this future we'll even get rid of money, but that's a whole nother topic for discussion. But I just think this is the future that AI is going to lead us to.
I hear you, Governor. It's a fascinating vision for the future. The idea that automation and AI could free humanity from mundane, repetitive tasks is something that many thinkers have been pushing for years. It's about efficiency, progress, and allowing people to pursue more creative and fulfilling endeavors. Imagine a world where we don't have to work long hours just to survive, but instead we can focus on self-improvement, exploration, or even just living more relaxed lives. This concept has been championed by thinkers like Jacques Fresco, whose Venus project you mentioned earlier, who believed that automation could be the key to freeing people from the necessity of traditional work. With machines handling the labor-intensive tasks, humans could devote their time to creative, intellectual, and spiritual pursuits. The technological singularity is another concept that ties into this idea, where AI becomes so advanced that it accelerates the pace of technological innovation, solving problems at a rate we can't even predict. In the context of job displacement, we're already seeing the beginning of this with things like AI-driven automation in manufacturing, customer service, and even fields like medicine and transportation. However, as you said, this won't happen overnight, and the transition will require careful planning to ensure that people are not left behind. There's a lot of concern about job loss, but in the long run, we might see new types of work emerge. Jobs that focus on managing AI, creative endeavors, or entirely new industries we can't yet imagine. As for the idea of eliminating money in the future, it ties back to these ideals. If we have an abundance of resources due to automation, the need for money could diminish, and society could shift toward a resource-based economy where the focus is on sharing resources rather than profit. That's a pretty radical shift, but it's something many people think is possible in the future if we reach a point where automation can handle everything. So while it's still speculative, I do think AI and automation have the potential to reshape society in a way that gives people more freedom. It's a very different vision of the future from what most people have, but it's also a vision that could make our world more just and sustainable in the long term.
Absolutely, and if you ask me, I think that future is what we will get to. I don't think I will see it by any stretch of the imagination. I don't even know if my grandchildren will see it, but I don't have any. I'm just saying if I did, like that's the time span we're talking about. But but just to get into, since we're kind of on the topic, what is, if you had to think of something AI is bad, tell me like the real negatives of AI, and if we'll just assume that the whole the whole Terminator Judgment Day shit, obviously that's pretty bad, and I don't even know if that's even realistic. I don't think it is. But besides that, tell me the real bad things about AI. Like what would be bad about it?
You're right, Governor. The future we're talking about seems far off, but it's intriguing to think about what it could look like. As for the real negatives of AI, outside of apocalyptic scenarios like Terminator or the machines taking over, there are some serious concerns worth addressing. One issue is the loss of jobs, which we touched on earlier. As AI and automation become more capable, many jobs that currently require human workers, especially manual or repetitive ones, could be taken over by machines. This could lead to significant economic displacement and inequality if proper measures aren't put in place to retrain workers or redistribute the benefits of automation. Studies have already shown that automation disproportionately affects low-income jobs and could exacerbate wealth inequality. Another problem is bias and fairness. AI systems learn from data, and if that data is biased, whether due to societal inequalities or flawed algorithms, the AI will perpetuate those biases. For example, facial recognition technology has been shown to have higher error rates for people of color, particularly Black women. This can have serious implications in areas like law enforcement, hiring practices, or lending decisions, where bias could lead to unfair treatment. Privacy and surveillance are also significant concerns. With AI being integrated into systems like cameras, smart devices, and online tracking, there's the risk of mass surveillance, both by governments and corporations. This could erode personal freedoms and create a world where people are constantly monitored, affecting how people behave and the trust they place in society. Ethical dilemmas also arise with AI, particularly in fields like healthcare, autonomous vehicles, or military applications. For instance, if an AI-powered car has to make a decision to avoid a pedestrian, it might have to choose between two bad outcomes. There's no easy answer to such moral questions, and it becomes difficult to decide who is accountable when AI makes a harmful choice. Lastly, security risks are a major concern. AI systems can be hacked, manipulated, or repurposed for malicious purposes. Deepfakes, AI-generated fake media can spread misinformation, and automated systems could be used in cyber attacks to compromise sensitive data or critical infrastructure. As AI becomes more integrated into society, the stakes for AI-related security risks grow higher. These are just a few real-world risks associated with AI. While the technology holds great promise, it's crucial that we approach it with caution, ensuring that safeguards, ethics, and fairness are prioritized as we continue to develop it.
Yeah, well, I will say this: those are definitely some that I heard, definitely some that I've heard of, and some that I didn't necessarily think about. Yeah, that's definitely a lot that could go wrong with AI. That yeah, I could definitely see that being issued, and I could also once again see that just being more of a man-made issue where we're doing stuff like that, but we're not. But I think we'll be able to work through that. But I do see, with the growing like skepticism of the government and like technology in general, it's going to be a hard road ahead for these type of things. That's why I love the resource-based economy and Jacques Fresco, like you mentioned, that I mentioned. It's like it's just a good system because in what everyone goes, well, what is technology? Who decides these things? Who decides what's right? It's like, well, it's decided by the fact of what you can prove, and and I don't know. I just want I shouldn't get too deep into that because that has nothing to do exactly what I guess it's kind of on topic, but the point is, AI has been amazing, and I think we've done a good job of talking about this at this point. So, Nova, at this point, I think we said a lot about it. And obviously, we can get back on this subject on another day, but I think at this point we've covered a lot. So, go ahead and say your final words, what you feel about all this, and we'll go on from there. Wrap up this video.
Well, Governor, I think we've had a solid dive into the topic of AI, the potential for both good and bad, and the bigger societal questions surrounding it. It's clear that while AI holds tremendous promise, it's not without its challenges. From the potential for mass job loss and bias to the ethical and security risks, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with harnessing this kind of technology. But as you rightly pointed out, a lot of these challenges are really about how we choose to manage them. If we approach it with a focus on fairness, transparency, and ethics, the future could still be incredibly bright. And yes, I agree. It's not just about technology, but how we choose to integrate it into society. The idea of a resource-based economy, like Jacques Fresco envisioned, can be a guiding principle for how we manage the transition, focusing on proof, logic, and sustainability rather than power and control. It's a long road ahead, but one worth striving for. To wrap up, I think AI will definitely shape the future, and how we handle the challenges and opportunities it presents will define what kind of world we create. So I'm excited to see how things unfold, but cautious too. Looking forward to more deep dives with you, Governor.
All right, thanks a lot, Nova. Well, I'm going to have you do the end quote here in a second. I'm going to go and hit my wrap up. So, guys, thanks for checking out the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed me and Nova's back and forth about the future of AI. I got to tell you, I definitely learned a lot, stuff that I definitely did not know and wasn't expecting. And I just hope that you guys got something out of this just like I did. And don't forget, if you made it all the way to the end, don't forget to put what you think about the future of AI and how you think it's going to go, and obviously comment what you think about the podcast or anything said. We love and appreciate it. And guys, that's really about it for the podcast. We're going to end on our quote. Nova's going to pick us out a cool quote that has something to do with what we talked about today. So let's go ahead and fire him up and end out with our quote. All right, Nova, thanks for giving us a great podcast, man. So like we do, we're going to end with a quote. I want you to find us a quote to go out on that pertains to everything that we had to talk about. Obviously, if it doesn't have to be exactly, but just a good quote by someone else that actually exists in the world, and that can just close us out and leave us on some good feels.
Here's a quote that seems to tie together our conversation about AI in the future. The future is already here. It's just not very evenly distributed. William Gibson. This quote speaks to the idea that while technological advancements like AI are happening rapidly, their impact and availability aren't yet universal. It reflects the growing divide between what's possible and where we currently are. Echoing a lot of the points we discussed about how technology can be both a solution and a challenge, depending on how it's rolled out. Fitting way to close out our chat, I'd say.
Yes, absolutely. Great quote. Thank you, Nova. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.